Here today. Thank you so much for coming on Success Studio Live. I'm your host, Tara LaFon Gooch, CEO of Best Branding Solutions. And what we do is interview purpose driven leaders from all over the world to help them grow and scale in incredible ways with their brand. But because I interview purpose driven people, I feel like purpose is attracted to purpose and drive is attracted to drive. And I tend to talk about these topics a lot. And because I talk about these topics a lot, I get purpose driven people just like my guest today, Dr. Diana Londoño.
Londoño, we're so close.
Oh, I'm so close. I never took Spanish. I took French, but not Spanish. So
We're
she's going to have to teach me today. But so glad to have you here. And Dr. Diana, she is, we hear about the 1% club a lot. I want to be a part of the 1% club, right? But she's actually a part of the 0.5% club. And I would love for her to talk about that because you are a physician, you're a urologist, you're also Latina, so that helps put you in that 0.5% club. But what does it mean to be in that club? How does that feel? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm just so grateful to really be here and get a chance to speak to you and just be part of your show because you have amazing guests and what you're doing is so valuable. And so I'm just grateful and I want to really start with that. But yeah, this 0.5% club, I mean, I actually didn't really know about the numbers until I started to get more into equity and pay, and I actually became the chair for the Society of Women in Urology. There's a society, and I became the chair of this equity and board. And when I was in that role, I then began to want to learn more about not just the pay equity or inequity that surgeons get and women get, but also like just the numbers, like how many of us are there Latina, Black, physicians that are urologists. And the numbers were staggering. And it was a challenge to actually get this data. It wasn't readily available. I had to contact our organization and really get the statisticians to release it. And it was this big protocol to just release this information. And when I got it, I was shocked that Latina urologists, female, 0.5%. The women who are Black urologists is 0.6%, which I couldn't believe. They were a little higher than us, but we're still, the numbers are so low. And, this is important because, I mean, to me, what I feel, you ask me, how do I feel? I actually feel excited and empowered because I think there's so much to do and so many places to go to get to higher numbers. And it's fun. I mean, I am a unicorn. Like you will not see likely in your lifetime another Latina urologist. So it's, to me, it's something that is special. I'm very proud of, being a physician. I love what I do. I find it a privilege to do what I do. And I really take it, seriously as my role as a physician, which is a healer and a teacher. I'm not a prescriber. I don't want to be a transcriber. I don't want to be, just a surgical robot. I mean, I really feel, I'm a teacher. I like to teach my patients. I like to explain things in a clear language. I want to give them the tools, the information so they can make decisions and we can do it together. So, that's how I feel with the 0.5%. I don't like exclusivity. I don't want to be an exclusive club. I want to bring more people in. And that's really, when we start having clubs, I want people to be in it. It's all about bringing people together.
I love that. So how did you get started in medicine? What was that journey like? How did you identify medicine as a career path forward for you and what made you go after it?
Yeah, so I was not those kids that, at 5 years old wanted to be a physician. I was not that. I didn't come from parents that were physicians. Many of my colleagues, are third generation physicians, and my parents were not in that field. But it really occurred in college. I went to college, and at the beginning of my years, I kind of kept the options open. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I really thought I was going to go into some politics. I was really involved in leadership before, so I really thought, I want to do leadership things. I mean, little do I know that medicine is all politics anyway, but it's all politics no matter what. But I really didn't know exactly. But my parents divorced when I was 12, and my father lived in Mexico City, and we lived here in the States. And I would go yearly back to see him. And in the last trip that I went to see him, my father, from being, strong and, very good looking and, healthy, showed up to the airport to pick me up in a wheelchair. And he was paralyzed from the waist down and just looked, ill and thinner and pale. And I didn't really know what was going on. It wasn't really talked about per se. It was sort of like, oh, I have a pinched nerve, and that's why I can't walk. And, I didn't know anything about medicine then. So I didn't really know what was going on. But it sort of got pieced together as I sort of went through it, that he had metastatic prostate cancer that went to the spine. He was paralyzed from that. And, he died about 3 months or so later. So it was really advanced. And, this is tragic because prostate cancer, no matter where you are in the world, is really detectable, treatable, and curable, and it's not something you have to die with. Many people die of, but then you die with it. So it is tragic that this happened because it is very treatable. So, I
Mm.
mean, a little PSA for people, get screened. Screening does save lives, with an exam and a PSA test. It's so easy. And then you can really figure out, if there's risk for prostate cancer and go from there. But that's really how it started. I saw my father, from this very good looking Latino blue eye, man, just really being, in a wheelchair and diapers, and really what was important for him was to, shave himself, put his cologne on, brush his hair, despite the fact he can kind of get there. And I really saw how in illness, we sort of lose a lot of dignity. If you've ever been in the hospital, you get those ugly gowns, all your stuff is taken away, and you don't have your things that, make you sort of you. And even though we are treating and diagnosing and doing surgery, I mean, for some people, some of those things are really important to their identity, who they are. And if you sort of dismiss that or don't address it, for the people that is important, I think you lose a lot of that, again, humanity in medicine. You lose that healing, you lose that connection. And so I really wanted to, kind of bring that, or embody that. And so that's where I sort of started, learning about what I had to do to become a physician.
Wow. So that's kind of what got you interested in that, and saving lives, saving people like your dad, right?
Well, yeah, actually, probably subconsciously there's something, because I'm a urologist. I could have chosen ophthalmology or saving eyeballs, but I didn't decide that. And I chose urology because, to me, is it's really a fun specialty. You get to take care of people long term. It's not just, take out your appendix and see you later. You never see them again. You really build relationships, and you can take care of men, women, children, both, all. You can do a lot of surgery if you want, or you can be in the office. So there's a lot of, variability to your day, and you can structure however you want. So to me, that was exciting, was fun. People tend to be kind of lighthearted and fun, a specialty. There's not a lot of terrible diagnoses that are depressing, so I didn't want to do a depressing specialty. I want a little more like a beat, So to me, that's what drew me to urology. But probably some subconscious stuff, who knows? But it really is an enjoyable specialty.
That's amazing. So you mentioned, you hinted on it, that everywhere has politics, right? So we in corporate America, we think that there's office cooler politics, right? There's all sorts of politics, but we don't often think about that in medicine.
Oh yeah,
That's interesting. So let's
so
kind
much
of talk
politics. I
about
mean,
that.
medicine is very, first of all, hierarchical, which I think what has gotten a lot of, the places we are in terms of our mental, health as physicians, and burnout. And it really, even though we think of medicine or healthcare as this place where, everybody gets taken care of and this and that, I think that's true for the patients. I think as physicians, we sacrifice so much for patients, but we don't do a great job of taking care of ourselves, of really leading with love in terms of like, how are you doing? And we really are trained where our basic needs are not really met or fulfilled. Like, we have to stay up without sleeping. God forbid you want to pee or eat, and you're up for like hours and hours, and that's sort of like expected, like, oh, you're some tough person. the reality is, in medicine and surgery, the forefathers of surgery, for example, were like on cocaine. And, that's how they could stay up for days and days and days. But if you're not in cocaine, then it's a little bit challenging to, have a life, be human, and, be loving to people because you're so tired and you're so depleted. But it's a lot about politics, a lot ego, comes in, and it's full of a lot of that in medicine and surgeons, especially. Like the ego is so big, it's like you can barely fit into the room. So if we change that culture and we really lead with love and take care of each other, I think we'd be in a better place because burnout, which is in many industries, but burnout is really chronic unmanaged stress in the workplace or anywhere, and is really leading to really difficult numbers to know about. For physicians, two-thirds of us are burned out, 25% of us have depression, 13% have suicidal ideations, and 400 per year complete suicide.
Wow.
So that's a huge number. And, of the physicians who are, not only contemplating, think about it, like, 13%, 1% of all of them that were surveyed were attempting suicide. So it's not like they were just thinking about it, they were attempting, but didn't complete it. And if you're a patient, just imagine you show up to the doctor and then you wonder why they don't listen, they're angry, they really are not being present because you really cannot be present. You cannot listen. You can't have love and empathy when you are thinking about how you're going to end your life that day and how you are reactive and angry, which are symptoms of burnout. So it's not that we want to be a-holes. It's just our capacity is so small and we are really in a place where we're hurting. In the US alone, we have 1 million physicians. Last year, 100,000 left medicine. We already have a shortage. So now 100,000 left. The ones that are left behind are not in a great place. So, something has to change. There has to be a turning point where we say things have to be different, and I think we're really at that point.
So that's an interesting transition to where you are today, right? Because you've been through all of that you just described. You've been through that burnout stage. You've seen
Mhm.
that. Where are you today, and how are you contributing back to your medical community, to those physicians who are burnt out?
Yeah, so I've been through it twice and it manifested very differently each time. The second time was very long, it was a whole year, and it really gave the physical manifestations of chronic stress. And if you're a patient, if you're a physician, and you have unexplained body pains, if you are not sleeping, if you're grinding your teeth like I was, having reflux, indigestion, if you, like I start to have joint pains, so you're becoming like autoimmune disease attacking your own body. Asthma, I developed asthma at 42. Who develops asthma at 42? So this
Wow.
is all from chronic, inflammation that has a real effect in your body. And when you're in that place, it's not a fun place, but I'm grateful because I was able to get out of it, climb out of it, get out of that victim mentality, start thinking about these deeper questions, which were very helpful for me, which are spiritual questions like, who am I? What am I here to do? How can I contribute? And what can I be grateful for? And shifting my mindset from a negative mindset, which is where you are when you're in burnout, everything's terrible, to a more positive, empowering, growth mindset that I learned with coaching, which I started to dive into. I became a life coach. But then really I thought, if I can learn these skills and my colleagues are suffering, what can I do? Because I'm not a psychiatrist. So what can I do to give back to help them? And I decided to found something called physiciancoachsupport.com, which is a free and confidential platform for any physician. They can go look at their time zone and book a Zoom appointment with a physician, a peer, who's a certified life coach. And we talk about anything that they want to talk about: family, friends, work, anything. And we just support and help using life coach skills, which are different than a friend or a therapist, and just really to get people to a better place so they can realize they matter, they're worth it, they don't have to suffer, they don't have to grind that, their head down and keep getting abused or be abused or be in a pain or crying when they go to work. Their life can be different, but they have to take a step of courage, of realizing their life is important and that they want to make a change. So, it takes courage to do this because it's uncomfortable. You have to get through the pain to get to the other side. There's the only way through it is through the pain. But the other side is so joyful when you get there and you realize anyway, life is up and down. It's not all roses. But those difficult times, those challenges is what helps you grow and is what really gives you like such a perspective of enjoying the good because you've seen the other side as well.
I love that. So it's physicians helping physicians. And
Yeah.
it's you guys, you have that background and experience. You are a physician, you're trained, you know the industry, you know the heartache, you know the pain points, unlike anybody else, right? But you've
Yeah.
also gone through that life coaching to where you can help somebody out of the same situations because you know that situation better than anybody. I love that.
Yeah. We
So,
know
yeah,
it. We understand it. I mean, it's different than a social worker, which are imperative, and a psychiatrist and all this. All that. I mean, I think you need sometimes, many times, a therapist and obviously a coach and a friend and a whole village, your spouse. I mean, burnout affects not just everybody else. It affects your family. It affects you physically. It affects the community. We touch so many lives every single day that how you interact with that person has a huge ripple effect, not only of the care you give, the things you miss, the mistakes you make because you're in burnout, but just a positive interaction. When you go to the doctor, you feel like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Instead of like, oh my God, they were awful. They didn't listen to me. I feel frustrated. I mean, how do you want to feel? We want to have our patients leave feeling better, not worse, not dismissed. So, again, it's really important you take care of yourself so you can take care of so many people, but in the right way, not just the prescribing way, not just the you need your toe amputated. I mean, it's really about healing, listening, and having presence for that other person, that other soul in front of you.
yeah, that's beautiful. It's a lens of empathy,
Which
which
is very difficult to have if you are empty, if you are, with nothing left to give. There's no way you can have compassion, empathy, curiosity when your nervous system is up to the point of dysregulation that you're in fight or flight, you're angry, you're reactive. There's just no way possible. Your nervous system doesn't lie. So if you're angry, yelling, you kind of have to figure out what else is going on.
I relate to that so much. So a lot of people have been there, right? In burnout. And it may not be just in medicine, but
No,
in my corporate, when I left my corporate job, I was experiencing similar signs. So look for these signs because they are important. And our bodies
right.
they tend to be so much smarter than our brains sometimes. Don't you think, Dr. Dan?
They don't lie. It's your North Star, your intuition. Like if you believe in anything higher than this world, it's your inner compass that tells you something is wrong. When you have the body pains, the neck pain, the weird pains nobody can diagnose, it's your inner soul saying this is not the right path. You are depressing your needs. You are not taking care of your needs. You are not aligned to your values and the things you want. And it's telling you something is wrong. So if you don't pay attention, your body will, and it's going to send you that loud signal at the most inconvenient time, of disease, of cancer, because you don't take care of this chronic stress. I mean, it's real, the effects that you're going to have and the diseases and cancer and all the stuff you're going to get from not listening to that and just living in chronic stress.
Yes, and it can be so many different symptoms. Skin
Mhm.
rashes,
Mhm.
thinning
Absolutely.
hair, your hair could start falling out.
Absolutely.
Start I interviewed somebody who's a friend of mine. She started having trouble digesting food.
Correct. Absolutely. Because when you're in fight or flight and you're worried that somebody's going to attack you, some bear, you're not there to eat and eat your food. You're going to run. So when you're running, you're not trying to digest that food. So absolutely, your hair falls out and you age. I mean, look at people that are stressed. You see them, or even after COVID, I see some of my patients. I'm like, wow, they age so much from the stress. So if you care about, instead of buying these expensive face products or your Botox on your face, if you want to thrive and not age, like stress is huge.
Yeah.
Stress is like the number one aging thing. It really changes your DNA. It causes you to age, to look not well. So it's so important. And then when you're stressed, what happens? We do all these coping mechanisms, smoking, overeating, stress eating, to really medicate ourselves. Alcohol, we drink, oh, the mommy juice because you're stressed. I mean, these are not healthy ways to live that we're trying to cope and, medicate our stress. But when you are in a different state, you don't need your mommy juice. You don't need to be smoking. You're not overeating because you're not in a stressed state. You're in a better state. So it's so important because, when you overeat, when you drink, all the effects from that itself are going to be a problem. And if you already have medical conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure, it starts getting out of control and stress. So many times your blood pressure's up and we just keep adding more pills. But if you ask the person, well, what's going on in your life? They'll tell you all the stressful things you're dealing with. And if they address that, they may not need 5 pills, they may need three. So again, it's just so important, for anybody to really think about the effects of stress.
Absolutely. And just listen to your bodies. I think we just tune them out and lead with the best of intentions. But honestly, it's not worth it. If in the analogy that I like to use, it's a pitcher. It doesn't matter how big that pitcher is, you can't pour from an empty one. So if you're constantly depleting yourself, if you're ignoring your own best interests and your own intuition and your things that your body is signaling you to do, it's going to end up, and you're going to end up a nervous, stressful wreck. And it's not going to be good for anybody.
Correct. Yeah, and you're going to end up in the hospital. You're going to end up with a
Yeah.
disease, the diagnosis, and then that's going to even take more time away. So it's imperative that we find a time every single day that you spend for you to do what works for you, because we're all different, but what works for you to like, regulate that nervous system, get it out of that stress state, get it into a calm and rest state, whether it's prayer, whether it's a mantra, whether it's movement, whether it's exercise. I mean, all this stuff has to be part of your routine every day. Gratitude, really changing from the stress and a place of gratitude where you feel calm and there's love in your heart instead of like anger and reactivity. So it has to be part of your daily life. Nobody's going to teach you that and tell you you have to do that, but it's really important that you realize that's is a must. Just like you brush your teeth, you have to like, reset that nervous system and change that stress state. It's so important.
I love that. And you don't get to be in that 0.5% club, right? If you're constantly stressed and constantly depleted and constantly burnt out, if you want to get into the club Diana's in, you've got to replenish those resources, don't you?
Well, yeah, you really have to balance and put boundaries. And I mean, for me, as I went, residency is not easy, but I also chose one that was non-malignant. I made sure as a resident, I ran a triathlon and I would exercise 2 times a day, which is a little crazy for our work schedule, but I prioritized that. I made sure I was out at a certain time. I became very efficient so I can go leave work and take care of me, the things that brought me joy. And I did that all when my work schedule was way harder than it is now. And that was a huge priority for me, for my health, for my well-being, so I could be in a good place. And I used to drive in LA, an hour to get a yoga. Like that was really important to get there at 6 o'clock and change the car. That was really important for me to take care of me, no matter when. And there's this arrival fallacy that we all probably have, that when I finish this, when I get that job, when
Mhm.
I arrive here, then happiness will happen. Then I can take care of my body. Then I can do this.
Yeah.
That's a fallacy. That's why it's called the arrival fallacy, because the moment of happiness, of taking care of you, is today. It's not yesterday, the good years. It's not tomorrow when you have this X, Y, and Z. It's today. So take care of you today. Do the things that fulfill you, and forget about yesterday or tomorrow. About yearning for things, because happiness is not there. Happiness is today, right now, this moment we're having. That's where the joy is. Not the other times.
I love that. I'm a big believer in gratitude.
Mhm.
My soon to be published book, that's, where it starts, is gratitude.
Love it.
And,
I got
you know,
you.
it's the foundation for any success, because I believe that when we can be grateful, and it's not pseudoscience, is it? This is actual, real, physical science.
Theory.
Gratitude has been proven to rewire your brain. You become a different, changed person, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I mean, there are studies that show the changes of the neurotransmitters, that serotonin, those happy hormones. And when you're in a state of gratitude, what happens to your body? How your heart and your brain connect, and the nervous system regulates and calms down when you're in gratitude. I mean, there are changes physiologically, cell-wise in your body when you're gratitude. So important. People are like, "How do you do it?" I mean, the way I do it, I just literally write in a little notebook at night. What I'm grateful for today, what went well, what I enjoyed, what I look forward to. And in the morning, I do it too, because I want to start my day with an intention of gratitude, what I look forward to, before I just check my phone and get all, worried about the emails and what I have to do. I just want to be calm and grateful. And that really sets the intention for the day. So I absolutely love it. And that is so important. It's not pseudoscience, it's not woo woo. I really tell people, try for, 6 to 8 weeks. And if you don't feel better, people don't feel better around you, then come back and you'll get your free money, your money back guarantee. So
Yeah.
it's so important to try it and see the difference, and others will also notice it as well.
Yep. It's the first step to a better life, the life you were meant to live.
Yeah, a place where you're not like the crazy squirrel in the middle of the street, just, you know,
I like that.
reacting and you're barking, like you want to be calm, because as as people, like there's a polyvagal theory, which is about the nervous system, how it works. As mammals, as humans, we are wired to interact with each other. And when we approach somebody else, we can feel and see their energy. Or are they happy? Are they have a smile? Are they calm? Or are they yelling? And if they're yelling or angry, you kind of are going to stay away from them. You don't want to interact. So, when you're in a state of gratitude, you're calm and happy and joyful, people want to interact. There's that connection. There's those mirror neurons that when you smile, I smile, and like, just that love circle continues. And connection is so important for our survival. And we saw that in COVID when we were isolated. What happened to the mental health too, right? Everybody didn't do well when you're separated. Maybe the lizards can do that, but as human beings, as mammals, we need that connection. So it's so important to be in that state so that you can be approachable and be in a place where people feel that love from you and that energy. And it's not woo. I mean, we are energetic beings and we radiate that, or we don't. Either anger or love or joy. We really do radiate that.
I love how you bring the physical Western medicine with the spiritual in a holistic, just beautiful package. But that's what it's all about. That's true success. True success is having health. It's having wealth. It's having an abundance mindset of mindset of ownership and responsibility, to where you have agency, like you said earlier, of your choices, of your surroundings, of your environment. You have ownership of that. But success is also being surrounded by a support system,
Mhm.
like you said, that understands your needs, takes care of takes care of you, supports you, doesn't diminish you, right? That you're
Accepts.
surrounded by these people that are always uplifting you, don't you think?
Absolutely. That's so important. And, I was thinking of somebody that commented recently in a post, like, how do you do it all? And I was thinking about it, and I haven't replied because the answer is a little bit long. But the short answer is, well, my husband is super supportive. He's a stay-at-home dad. He left private equity to do the really important job of taking care of our daughters. And so, what is more important? That's a personal decision. But for us, was taking care of our daughters so they could be healthy, well-adjusted, children. And we have the gift to be able to do that. And that's not for everybody, but we were able to make that choice. And not only do I have his support, I mean, even now, like when I'm doing this, he's, cooking and doing everything else. But I spend time with people that is a small circle of really supportive people. I don't spend time on things that, just feed my ego, but just feed my soul. I do things I want to do. I don't say yes to everything. I say yes to things that are really aligned with my core values, or with, things that, again, don't just feed my ego. I want to do it from a different place. So I don't spend a lot of time or meetings or doing things that I don't want to do, that otherwise takes up my time, my resources. Time is limited. It's a finite resource. Yes, there's abundance, but time is limited. So how are you using your time? So if you're always saying yes to everything, like most women, we tend to do that. We don't learn to say no. Then we are depleted because I'm doing stuff that I should not be doing. And yes, then you won't have time to do the things that align that make you thrive and happy. Because I say no to a lot of stuff. I don't do meetings I don't want to do. I don't do committees I don't want to do. I use that time to do things like this, to exercise, to be with my children. I mean, things that really are important. And, not like I don't need these million friends. I don't need all these likes on social media. I mean, what I need is a special soulful connection with people. And that is what is important to me. And that feeds me and gives you lots of time to do it. But you have to really look at your time and your priorities and where you're spending it and with who. People that, yeah, bring you down, people that don't support you, people that are jealous. I don't want any of that. I mean, those people are out of my life. They're not in my circle.
Yeah.
And if you're in the victim mindset, if you can't get out of that, like, do you want to be surrounded with those people? I really don't. And sometimes those choices are challenging to make and to leave friends that maybe are not in the same place. But they're so important that you align yourself with people that are in the same wavelength, that are in the growth mindset, if that's where you want to be, so you can grow, so you're not dragged down and stay in the victim mindset. So I love that you said that. It's so important, that community, that support.
Yes, yes. I'm a big vibration person.
Absolutely. The
Yeah,
law of attraction is real.
you have to pass the vibe check with me.
Yeah,
That's just how I am. And it's my intuition. I trust it.
I love it.
And
Feels like it.
I don't let any negativity in my circle. Life is too short and I don't have time to be drugged down. I only want to soar.
Absolutely. I love it. I mean, people
That's
have, okay, you have to replay this 100 times, please. When you,
yes.
this is the most important thing that I hope people listen to, women listen to. I mean, this is key. I mean, this is where all the money and the pudding is, right there, what you said. I love that. That is absolutely so important. And it has to be repeated 100 times.
100 times. Everybody, don't be around negative people. So I did this I think it was last May, so it's been a year. I did a challenge. I was at a point in my life. I wasn't happy. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was all of these things. I wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied. I said, I need 6 weeks. 6 weeks, and I'm going to change my life. So what did I do? I got rid of refined sugar. I
Yeah.
started eating healthier. I made exercise a daily priority. I gave up alcohol. I gave up any negative surrounding at all. The news,
Mhm.
didn't listen to it. If it was negative, didn't listen to it. I still have those habits, and I haven't been around any negativity since. And you know what? Soaring. Why?
Absolutely.
Because I'm not being drugged down.
Yes, I love it. And sugar, I mean, we kind of, we talked a little bit. Sugar, I mean, in studies, like with rats, sugar is more addicting than cocaine. I mean, rats
Which is
prepare
incredible
all
to think
sugar as
about.
cocaine. I mean, if you feel like weighed down and tired, of course, it could be a million reasons, but sugar is like worse than cocaine. So eliminate it from your diet. Alcohol, I mean, I understand, and I don't judge, and I used to drink, I don't judge it, but for me was like I want a clear mind. I don't want a foggy mind. I have limited brain cells. I want to make them thrive as much as I can. So yeah, I've been drinking a couple of years because I want my brain cells. I want to be clear to write and express and do a lot of stuff. So to me, again, it's a personal decision, and I don't judge anybody that wants to do anything. My husband drinks, that's fine. But for me, it was really important. And yeah, cutting off friendships. I had friendships for 15 years that were just sucking me down from this energy and victim mindset that I said, I cannot do this. I love you. I wish you success and love and find your people, but we're not that people for each other anymore. And like that was 15 years, but I just couldn't just stay stuck and dragged down anymore. And when you sort of drop that anchor of negativity, I agree. It's like you soar, you find all these people that then align with your energy, and your life is just so much different. So I really love that you share that. I'm sure you have shared it many times before, but this is
Yeah,
something you have to listen to as well because it's very important.
absolutely. And you can I just knew something told me I needed 6 weeks to change my life, and I did. And I didn't give up everything entirely after the 6 weeks. I would occasionally eat desserts and would occasionally, but I made it a moderate habit and didn't let it any one aspect take over my life. But the most important thing was I kept eating healthy, I kept exercising, and I refrained from any negativity.
Yeah, so like it really drags us down. I mean, they're like a sponge, and especially if you're empathetic
Yes.
or intuitive as a woman, especially that stuff just drags us down. It's like other people's energy just like really comes to us, and
Yeah.
so you gotta like shake it off, like dance it off, whatever you have to do to get rid of it, because it really gets it's like hygiene for your energy that we never think about, but it's really important. So
Yeah.
if you're feeling dragged down, I agree. Get rid of sugar, all these other things that maybe don't in your life. Getting a warm bath, like salt, like actual salt, put the whole container. Do that twice a week. You'll just feel better because you get rid of all these people's energy and you relax and it's time for you and you're gonna feel better. So again, making these little changes as priorities for you, no matter what else is going in your life, like take that time for you. I mean, somebody can watch the kids for 30 minutes or do whatever. So you can do that for you, or they'll be okay for the tablet for 30 minutes. It's okay. They're going to survive. They'll still be able to read. But take that time for you because if you're depleted, angry, especially as a mother, you can't be there for your kids. You're not giving the best of you. So take that time to replenish you so you can be there for your kids. So you can be kind and loving, not yelling at your kids. So this goes for like so many ripples when you take care of you and you're in like in a better place where you have energy, where you feel more vibrant than when you're like, falling over and tired and don't want to do stuff.
Exactly. So right on. I love that. Well,
Mhm.
Dr. Diana, it was such a pleasure to interview you today. You're a unicorn. You're 0.5% of the population who is a urologist and a Latina, but also a superstar in my heart. You're awesome.
Thanks.
Uh, but
I
thank you. Yeah,
love it. I love it. And I love that you listen to your intuition. And again, we all have that. Don't suppress it. Listen to it. That is your guiding star. And that's going to give you the right path. So, yeah, you have so much wisdom. I appreciate what you do. You definitely, you practice what you preach. You bring so much value. And that's why people come because you give the value. And then people come, when you really do stuff that really brings value to others without trying to keep it all in and all the secrets. It's just, it's an abundance mindset. And that's sort of how we connected. And I was like, whoa, I love this. This is so important. Like, I totally agree. And, we just resonated. So thank you for what you do. I'm so grateful for, having met you and learning from you and so much that we can learn from each other. So thankful for that.
absolutely. And gratitude, right? With all things
Yeah.
gratitude.
That,
But yes, thank you. Thank you, Diana. And thank you for everyone who watched this today. Guys, don't forget to follow this channel, Success Studio Live. I interview amazingly successful people all the time, just like Dr. Diana here today. Follow the channel, give it some likes, comments, and we will see you on the next episode. Until then, take care, everybody.